I'm drawing a face, and I'm like, this eye is not eyeing. I need to learn how to draw eyes better while I'm
I
drawing. You understand? Or like, this mouth. I don't know how to draw mouth at this angle. I need
think
to
I know where this
study
is
mouth.
going.
Yes. So another challenge is upgrading your skill in the middle of work. So as I said, you already have um
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pulse of Tech podcast, where we have insightful conversations about building digital products, brands, and teams, as well as explore the challenges of the tech industry. Again, this is Lady Adeni. I'm your host, and I'm super excited to have you guys here. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the journey, the challenges, and the triumphs of being an illustrator in the tech industry. Aspiring illustrators don't necessarily know that they can succeed within the tech ecosystem, and we're going to change that. So, joining us is the incredibly talented Liz Ogunoye. She's an illustrator and she has a passion for blending artistry with tech. And she's currently an illustrator at Chowdeck. Liz, thank you for agreeing to do this. We're excited to have you on the show.
Hi, Lady. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm super honored to be here.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So let's start with like a quick introduction. Can you share a bit about your background and your journey and how you found yourself working in tech as an
Okay.
illustrator?
Okay. I'll start like this. So I've always been able to draw since primary four. I think around that time it was just children playing around with pencils, and then one day I said, you know what, instead of tracing, let me draw it. And since then I've always drawn. So when I got to the university, I heard about digital art and stuff. So I was like, oh, I'd like to do that. And they said, oh, I needed to learn how to do Photoshop. So I went for a design training on campus. My plan was to learn how to use Photoshop, but I ended up learning graphic design, and that's how my journey began in design. And so when I left university in 2019, I got a job as a graphic designer at GoCard then. So that's how it started.
Oh, nice. So you started with Gokada. That's so interesting.
Yes, yes, I did. It was a nice run too, because I mean, my GoCada project on my Behance is still one of my most engaged projects.
Yeah, so it's so interesting. Um, we actually have similar stories. So I also started drawing at I think when I was like 5 in primary school. I would draw this whole. Um,
yeah,
I used to like Super Strikers growing up. So
everybody did.
yeah, like I would always beg my parents that oh let's go to Mr. Biggs. Then I will
True.
go there
Or
specifically to buy.
Texaco.
Yeah, that filling station. I wonder where they
Mm-hmm.
went. I'll just go
I want to
there,
just know.
pick up my Super Strikers. Then I created my own football comic book in quotes. It's just be like different notes that I'll sellotape together. And similar to how you explained yours, I got into university, then I went into like digital digital art, learned Photoshop. But I guess mine was just like YouTube videos. Learned
Yeah.
Photoshop, Autodesk Sketchbook Pro.
True. I
I
tried that one too. Try to
yeah
use mouse and your finger to paint.
yeah it was crazy. Like it could take me like 8 hours to draw one face of like using mouse. The
Eight
struggle was real
hours.
though. Yeah.
Oh, that's serious struggle.
Yeah. The struggle was real. But I think I just diverted into like the development and coding, and I didn't really have time to like follow up with
Drawing.
illustrating anymore. Yeah,
Mhm.
so that's interesting.
I mean, it is.
I yesterday or day before yesterday, I saw one of your tweets where you were talking about the different kinds of illustrations, illustration niches, right? Like the niches
Hmm.
within the niche. You talked about vector illustration and digital arts and the differences
Yes.
between both of them. Can you talk more about that for people that didn't see that tweet? I thought it was very insightful.
Yes. So basically, I mean, I was saying that a lot of people come to me and say, oh, they want to learn illustration. Where do they start from? And one of the things I ask them is, what kind of illustration do you want to learn? And most of the time, people don't even know the difference. People don't even know there's a world of difference. They just feel like, oh, I want to know how to draw. I want to. So I said that there are many kinds. I mean, if you check Google, you see them. There is fashion illustration, editorial illustration, there's even charcoal illustration, like traditional stuff. So I just mentioned three. I said there is traditional, which would involve use of like normal traditional stuff like your pencils, your brushes, charcoal, and all of that. And there is vector illustration, and then there is digital illustration or digital art. So vector illustration, I address just two of them because those are the ones that I do. I do vector illustration, I do digital art. So for vector illustration, it would involve the use of like shapes, basic shapes, like actual like vector shapes in like softwares like Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, or maybe like Figma, where you use the shape tools, or maybe like the pen tool, or even maybe the brush tool in those softwares to create like vector based illustration. Then for digital art, I said there under digital art there are like various um how would I call them? Various sections, things like concept art, digital illustration or painting, environment art, many more, background painting, a lot of them, a whole lot of them like that. And I also mentioned that I mean there are different tools that you would need for each. If you're going to do vector illustration for product-led companies, maybe like Paintex, maybe like companies in tech basically, or companies that are product led, you would want to do, or you would need softwares like Adobe Illustrator that I mentioned earlier. And for tools, you'd likely need a non-display graphic tablet, although I said that you don't need it to start. It's good, but if you want to start, you can go ahead and start with maybe your trackpad or your mouse. I still use my trackpad and my mouse when I want to right now to illustrate, because vector illustration, I mean, if you have a sketch already, you are kind of good to go. Then for
Okay.
digital illustration, yeah, I said that. I mean, for digital illustration, you would act. I mean, preferably you need something you can draw,
Freehand.
yeah,
Yeah.
freehand, that kind of thing. So that you also need maybe like the graphic tablet that I mentioned earlier with your laptop, or maybe an iPad, or maybe a display graphic tablet that also looks like an iPad. You just draw straight on it. Or, as I said in that thread as well, that's pencil and paper is your friend. Pencil and paper is your friend. If you really, really want to start, you don't want to be held back by the complexities of tools and whatnot. Just start with pencil and pen. That's a good place to start. Yes. So that's basically maybe like the summary of what I said there. And I said that I mean if you needed courses, it's you kind of like making it more complex for yourself. Just go ahead and simplify it. Go on YouTube and say how to draw a head in Adobe Illustrator, or how to sketch a head. You understand? And then if you and another thing maybe that I didn't include in that thread is maybe start with why, like they always say. Start with why. Why do you want to learn illustration? Or I want to learn it so I can illustrate for my company, my product company. I want to learn illustration so I can make comics, so I can paint people, so I can do commissions. When you know that the path that you will take will be easy, or it will at least be directed, you know where to go, you know that, oh, this is what I need and this is not what I need. And I also said that these two that I mentioned, they intersect often. They are different, but they intersect often in the sense that I know people who create vector illustration, maybe not completely vector, but like for vector usage in Procreate or on the iPad. Understand? So yeah,
Oh,
that was
really?
basically the whole idea. Yes,
Oh,
yes.
people
There are
create
companies
vector
whose illust
illustration with Procreate. I didn't know that.
or you'd people who paint background, maybe not paint necessarily, but create backgrounds in Adobe Illustrator for for entertainment art or that kind of thing. So I mean, it's limitless. What you can use a tool for is limitless. The people that use Photoshop to do design. So, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, true.
so yes, yeah.
Nice. Um, Speaking of like graphic tablets, the ones that have display and the ones that don't have display,
Hmm.
is there like one you can recommend, like one or two you can recommend for people that want to start out? They already have like the pencil and paper or the pen and paper figured
Yes.
out.
So
They
if
now
they
want to
want to like
upgrade.
get a So if you want to get a tablet, a graphic tablet that you can draw with, I'd recommend maybe something from Huion. Is what most of my friends use. That's Huion. Huion. I know some people mention XP Pen as well, but I don't think I've seen it around. I don't know if it's available in our market, but I know Huion is. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I think XP Pen might be a bit more on the expensive side. So
Yeah. Uh,
UION might just be the best for our markets.
definitely.
Nice.
Definitely. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. So let's go into like products led companies specifically. Um
Okay.
so you talked about vector illustration, and that's what product led companies would value more. Can you talk about the kind of companies you think would value hiring an illustrator? Because a lot of companies don't have illustrators as part of their staff or their team
Yes,
members.
yes. Or part of that design team.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would say this that I think the illustrator niche is a growing space in Nigerian design, especially. So I mean, illustrators have been around for like a long time, yet, but like you said, people don't or companies don't look out for or they don't seek to hire illustrators for their team. They're like, oh, graphic design, do you
Yeah,
get? And even
yeah.
when I started my first job, it was as a graphic designer. It was on the job that my the person I was reporting to, I would call him like design lead, said, should you can draw now. Do this thing, do illustrate it. And that's how my illustrating skills came forefront. So companies that would actually need, maybe they don't know they need, but companies that would need would be of course maybe tech companies, maybe fintech. I know Carrywise, Money, Mono, Piggyvest, they currently have illustrators on their team, or at least they have illustrations as part of their brand. You'd also
Mm,
think entertainment companies. This is something that a lot of them would need. A lot of them would need illustrators because maybe, for example, what do they call this thing? Visualizer for songs, cover art. I mean, the use case is limitless,
mm,
and all. Then maybe agencies. I know marketing agencies, for example, Noah's Ark. They have a comic strip. I think maybe like every week. What do they call themselves? But they have a very nice comic going on, and then also design agencies. So design agencies would need Illustrator because they would want to create it as part of identity for the brand that they're working on. I mean, Flutterwave has a very nice stylized illustration system going for them. Yes, so I mean, these are the company, and it's not limited to this. You'd be surprised by um, the kind of companies that would need your skill because, as I said earlier, it's a growing space. Yeah. Oh yes, book companies too would. How would I call them? Publishing
hmm.
companies. They would too.
Yeah, true, 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 true. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So in my
Mhm.
head, I just had it in my head that it's probably only tech companies that are utilizing illustrators as part of their team. But it's so
No.
interesting to entertainment companies. I mean, definitely they do a lot of cover art, they do a lot of
Yes.
visualizers with their music videos. It's so interesting how much illustrators are needed. I know I have a lot of illustrator friends, and all they do is freelance, and then maybe
Yes.
they get a second job in another field
Yes. Yes. Yes.
entirely.
I can
But
I can understand the freelance if you want
yeah,
to be paid what you're worth. Because as I said, it's growing in Nigeria, and maybe a lot of companies will not see the value in it. So they'll be like,
true, true,
because
true.
I looked through LinkedIn earlier and I could not find a single like maybe Nigerian offering for an illustrator. The ones I saw was graphic
Wow,
design slash illustrator. Understand?
wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, just like 7 years ago, there weren't a lot of product design roles or UI UX
Mm-hmm.
roles out there in Nigeria. I mean, but look at today. That's
Yeah.
probably the most sought out role in companies that companies are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's interesting. So how does the role of an illustrator contribute to the overall product development process in a tech company like
Okay.
Gokada, for example, and Chowdeck?
Okay. So in a tech company that is majorly product based, so they would need things like stylized illustrations, or maybe how they call it, icons, stylized
Okay.
icons. For example, maybe like there is a typical home button, menu, and all that you would find normally and generally everywhere. But if a company decides, oh, we want something that is more tailored for us, that's where an illustrator will come in, design an icon set. You do understand? For them. Then also for clarity, how would I put this? I mean, the illustrator would help simplify maybe ideas in the product. I mean, the simplest I can think of right now is empty state. The
Mm,
empty state spot. I mean, there's a typical error 404 that maybe people use, or maybe they'll use plug. You
yeah.
understand? But in case um the company wants something more tailored, I mean, currently Chowdeck's error state, it's an empty bag
Mm,
basically. So, I mean, that is me illustrating, that is me clarifying to the users that, oh, this is how, oh, there's nothing happening here, basically. Or it also, I mean, illustrators also contribute to like the usage usage experience, or maybe user experience of the product
okay.
itself. Do you get? Because as I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, like the buttons and all of that, I mean,
And
in
success
advanced, or
states
maybe,
also.
do you get, maybe in advanced places they would have people who design icon sets separately, but in this our country all of us were still growing together. So they won't hire somebody for just that. It's likely
Yeah.
the illustrator that is going to work on that.
They just gotta use
Then,
material design icons or
do you understand?
something.
Or maybe download from somewhere and get it
Yeah.
going. Then the illustrator would in terms of contribution in tech company, they would also help in educating customers. So I mean, let me just break it down and be like simple. An illustration is quite visually appealing and captivating. I can't count the number of people that
Facts.
have told me that oh, your illustration for announcement of new cities on Chowdeck is so nice, it's so amazing, I like it a lot. Now, what I've done is, in the minds of those people, it is now registered that Chowdeck is in this place because they saw a really cool illustration about it. You understand?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the in terms of what the illustrator will contribute, it's basically educating and communicating to customers. Now, I was looking through Piggyverse's Instagram, and I saw that they have something more simplified and stylized for them, which they use in educating customers, like comics. So if you tell customers that don't send your money to somebody on WhatsApp, maybe you put it in text, you put it in the design, they'll say, Becky, why will I send my you know, it might not be top of mind for them. But if they see a comic, you mentioned earlier that Super Striker back in the day, we liked it because there was a story attached to it and it has nice visuals. So they
Yeah.
would remember more, or they'll be more inclined to stay and read what that comic is saying. So it's helps educating, communicating to customers, and maybe like capturing their attention. The another thing I think they help do is they help that brand be recognizable through consistency. Like um Carrywise has an illustration system where there is this pattern. I think this money pattern,
Yeah.
I've forgot what it's called, in their illustration. If you see that
Yeah.
illustration anywhere, you'll be like, oh, this is Carrywise.
Yeah.
This is how they do their illustration. Mono has they work with shadows a lot in their illustration, where there is a reflection of like a window on the illustration kind of thingy. If you see anywhere, you know that, oh, this is Mono. Flutterwave currently has this textured illustration style that is very stylized. You see that and you're like, oh, this is Flutterwave. So your illustrators generally help the brand be recognizable, or the company be recognizable. So that's some of the few ways we contribute on a team. Yes, in a tech company. Yeah, it makes the product more appealing to
Yeah.
people,
Hundred
because people are
percent.
seeing text, people are seeing colors, people are seeing textures, but people like to be entertained. At the root of it, people like to be entertained. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hundred percent. I mean, I find that even the most serious brands,
Mm-hmm.
when they have illustrations, like it's always better for the users, right? It keeps
Yeah.
them, even if you are forming like, oh, I'm a very serious minded person, I'm serious 24/7. If you see
Yeah.
something that makes you smile, you're going to smile. You're still a human being in the end,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's nice to value that sometimes your product should also bring some excitement and happiness to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Next question, next question. Uh what are what are some unique challenges, or should I say opportunities, for if you want to be optimistic, right? A lot of people see challenges as opportunities. What are
Mm-hmm.
some unique challenges or opportunities that you've encountered as an illustrator working within that product led company?
I think I like that you added opportunities, because when I think about challenges, I can't think of something gege like that.
Yeah.
Oh, challenge. So I think something I would consider or think about maybe as an opportunity or a challenge would be stylization for context. So for companies, or for companies, part of their brand, they have like recognizable features like colors, like font, and what else, maybe textures. So when you're developing an illustration for a brand, it needs to be unique and recognizable. Maybe not completely unique, but it needs to be recognizable for them. You understand? And when people see, they're like, oh, this is this guy's. And now, when you now have that system, it is how to apply it to like subsequent illustration. I mean, this may seem like maybe technical, but it's quite a challenge. For example, um, the simplest I can think of is hands. Some brands, when they illustrate hands, or when they think about hands in their illustration, it can be rounded, it can be square, it can be bezeled, it can be
Hmm.
big, like big hands. or gloved. There's some that they don't put fingernails.
Gloved.
You understand? They put
Yeah.
fingernails. Sometimes if your nail is a specific color, all those stylization, all those kind of like style that you can impute in a brand. So in a way, this has been like a learning opportunity for me because you don't want to do one illustration and then the next one looks like, which brand is this one? You understand? So I
Mm.
mean that's one I can think of. Then speed. So I like to take my time when I'm working, research, come up with an idea, sketch it, draft it out. When I'm done drafting, do some line work, see how it looks, then flat colors and shadows and all of that. A
Mm-hmm.
process.
Yeah.
But sometimes in a product company or in a startup or in a tech company or in a company that you are in or wherever you've been working in, nobody has that time. There's a
Nope.
deadline and there are like other things to like go out. So you need to be chop chop, you need to be fast and get it out of the way. So I had to learn ways to optimize things for myself. Sometimes I like to get into the details, maybe curve and all of that. But when I have to be fast, I would just simplify, simplify, simplify. And I mean that's something I've had to learn or a challenge I've had to overcome. Then
Are
another
you ever
thing
okay
is
with it though?
with what? The speed.
Like having to simplify the work, like you might feel like you didn't get to put enough love into it. Like is that something you had to learn to be okay
No,
with?
interestingly, I think at the level of detail that I am, I err on the side of like too much detail.
Hmm.
So that rushing helps me simplify. Not too simplistic, not too bare, but it takes
Interesting.
the extra detail that I've put in it. Like it helps me focus on what's important. You understand?
Hmm.
And put that in there. And now, because I think at the end of the day, my goal that I'm trying to aim for is something stylized and cartoonized, kind of something that is fun, it's not too serious. So I mean, I think that's good for me because at the start, where I am, it's not too simple. It's still nice, it's still cool. It has the most important details. That's it. Then I think last thing I can think of right now is skill upgrade. I can be illustrating now or even drawing. I'm drawing a face, and I'm like, this eye is not eyeing. I need to learn how to draw eyes better while I'm
I
drawing. You understand? Or like, this mouth. I don't know how to draw mouth at this angle. I need
think
to
I know where this
study
is
mouth.
going.
Yes. So another challenge is upgrading your skill in the middle of work. So as I said, you already have um things that you're doing, you already have deadlines. And now you're like, oh, I still need to learn this. Oh my god, where do I have time to learn this? I still have this, I have that. So that's all paranoia or stuff. That's a challenge that I've encountered. I mean, in terms of, just realized that maybe I wasn't specific towards the tech focused environment, maybe just the speed. But I think it's been fun, like illustrating for a tech company in that sense. It's been quite interesting because I'm learning things that are specific, things that are useful for them. Like I said earlier, I err on the side of details. Imagine trying to illustrate a full-on face and everything for them. They don't need that. You understand? They just need simple stuff to pass the message across. You understand? Okay, let me take for example, my illustration for announcement of Abeokuta when Chowdeck was live in Abeokuta. I did not need to illustrate maybe the city, the
Mm-hmm.
road, bike men on the road, and all of that. I just and it's a theme that is common with the city launch illustrations that I take something that is recognizable and important in that city and illustrate it. So
Yeah.
Abeokuta was Abeokuta, Olumorok, literally illustrated the rock nicely. Ibadan, um, the brown roof, put that in is recognizable anywhere. Anywhere, say, brown roof, is Ibadan. It's not like nobody has brown roof anywhere, but Ibadan, brown roof, brown roof. So that it's helped me tailor my work to their needs. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, another something you said about having to do your work within the timeline that was given to you, and at the same
So
time, like I can totally relate to that, man. This eye is not eyeing. I need to go and learn how to. I mean, there are some things you just would not learn on your own until you have that work right
yeah,
in
the
front
work
of
that
you,
puts you in
and
that
the
space,
deadline.
yes.
Yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
deadline will just like,
Nothing like
man,
a deadline to motivate you.
not, I swear, nothing like a deadline. You just have to learn it, and you're not just learning it and then dancing around it. You're going specifically for
Mm-hmm.
that thing that you need. You know, that's so interesting. That's so interesting. Okay, okay, okay. Uh, so the next question I wanted to ask you, I think you've answered it already, but let me
Yeah.
just ask again, just in case you might have a different perspective. So how do you balance artistic expression with the practical consideration of like building the systems, the illustration systems for that specific brand?
I mean, you did say I've answered it already, but I think I'll try to answer it newly with the way you just said it. How do I balance artistic expression? Mm, so I think one thing I do think about is functionality.
Mm,
What's the use of this illustration? If I'm illustrating for product or like in app, I need, I mean, there's not a, if you dip it, there's not a lot of space inside an app, because when people
yeah.
open the app like that, they want to go straight forward to whatever they open it for. Oh, I want to drop money inside. I want to order food. I want to order dispatch. I don't want to be reading story, or I don't want to be seeing drawing inside. It's
Yeah, you don't
distracting.
have to be
So
intrusive.
functionality, yes, functionality. Oh, simplify within the app. But if I want to illustrate for brand like social media, I'm like, oh, I can go all out. I can fill the page with a drawing and put text more at the top. You understand? So I mean,
Hmm.
how do I balance it is I think of functionality, really.
Okay, that's cool. There was something you said about um the work being a little technical, and one thing I realized earlier on is even creativity can be technical, and the
Yeah.
technicalities there is you have a specific system that allows you to get your
Mm-hmm.
illustrations out quickly, and having your illustration look within that specific brand of the company.
Yes.
Like you said, the hand, the this, the that. You can't just go
Mm-hmm.
and say, oh, today I'm drawing three fingers, or
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow I'm drawing two fingers, next tomorrow, I'm drawing just rounded, rounded hand. So I just wanted to sprinkle that in there.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, let's talk a bit about like career advice and insights for people that want to work in
Mm.
tech, and they might feel like tech companies don't value illustrators. Um, what advice would you give to aspiring illustrators looking to enter the tech industry, or just a product led company?
Ah, okay. This advice, I mean, disclaimer, this advice I want to give, I can only give from my perspective and maybe from like the things that I know. It is not
Mm-hmm.
cast in stone. There are many ways that you can enter a market, like Yoruba people say. So yes. So like I said earlier, when I searched LinkedIn, I could only see graphic designer slash illustrator roles. So this means that companies are not expecting you to come in and just be drawing for them and drawing for them. They would want maybe other skills, maybe like graphic design or motion design. It might
Mm,
seem like a lot because as you're learning how to draw, you're still learning how to animate or how to do design. But it seems that is what the Nigerian market looks like. But as I said earlier, it's not just one way. You could also stick with learning your illustration and tailoring it for maybe like a specific company, or I mean proposing it to them, saying, oh, I illustrate this, this is how um um it could look like for your company. I know Piggyvest has an illustrator on board, or at least I think they do. They have an illustrator, but they also commissioned a comic person, you know, outside and
mm,
say, oh, create a comic series for us. I think they commissioned him or he was there fully. I mean, they have a comic series in app that you can download or read about. So, I mean, that's one way. Then another thing is maybe contract jobs coming in on projects, maybe like specific project where a company says, oh, we are refreshing or we're working on a brand refresh and we need to add an illustrator system. You understand? And they say, oh, can you do this for us? I mean, that's one way.
mm.
But one thing you would always do that would always be good for you is to share your work. Share your work. I mean, nobody's going to commission you for anything if they don't see what you can do or in the various ways that you can do it. So I hope I've not gone off point.
No, it's
How
it's it's
advice
it's
to
on point.
so yes, if you're looking to enter, don't wait for them to reach out for you. Reach out to you. Apply when there is no what's it called? When there's no opening.
You can do things or like personal projects that are tailored to them. So a friend of mine, Olamide, he did an illustration for a company. It was not, I don't think it was commissioned for the illustration. And then the company saw it and then they were like, we like this. Can you do more for us? I mean, that's one way to like get entry or get work for yourself from like these places. So yeah, do personal projects, upload your portfolio public, share your work, send applications to companies, speak to people. I mean, it's something we all know it is. Network with people because um, one of the surefire way to get work is through referrals. Like everybody knows that. So a lot of hiring are not public. Yeah, you understand.
All right. So, how do you see the role of illustrators evolving in the future, especially within the context of advancing technologies like AI and other design trends?
You know, I'm not so sure how it's going to evolve because I mean the future is full of unpredictabilities. Well, I guess one thing I could say is that I see the illustrator community like growing more, like more known um, niche illustrators and companies hiring illustrator for like illustrating sake, like proper illustrator roles at companies. Yeah.
So, not just illustrator and graphic designer. or,
Yes. Yeah.
okay, okay.
Like,
Okay, okay, makes sense, makes sense. What about how do you think AI is going to affect the illustrators? Because some people's arguments now is that they'll just type in whatever they want and their illustration will just come out like magic.
I think I mean that's good for one off. If you want a one off illustration, you need a cover, you need something, you type it in and it comes out. But if you're a brand and you need something that is consistent, something that sets you apart, that you can continuously replicate at the same quality, at the same style, you would need the human touch. Not just I mean typing things in and waiting for it to come out. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I have one final question, but before we get to that final question, let's take a short break and go through some rapid fire questions so the audience can get to know you a bit better. Okay.
Okay, let's go. Hit it.
All right, let's go. So, are you a dark mode or light mode person?
Light mode. I tried dark mode one time, not one time, like for a long time, but like I felt dull, color psychology and stuff. Maybe for me, sha. Anytime I look at my phone, my laptop, my iPad, I just feel sad, extra sad. So I turn on the
Really?
lights. Yes,
Re-
really.
Really? I feel like
Yes.
it's criminals that like dark mode more than that like light mode more than dark mode though.
How? How does that apply?
Like it's just too bright. It affects my eyes. Like
Mm,
especially at night. Like why would you want your screen to just be
at night,
shining?
turn on what's it called? That stuff that reduces blue light, just adds yellow light to the white. I mean, yay! Like why dark mode?
That works. That works, yeah. That works.
Yeah,
That's so interesting. Okay. Okay, okay. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Okay. I can see it.
you,
Cof- Coffee or tea?
you mean tea, like the way Nigerians make tea?
No.
Like Bonvita
not
and Milo and all.
not not Bonvita Milo, like actual
You mean
tea.
tea, like green
Like
tea,
yeah,
chamomile, ati
yeah,
lavender tea.
like
Oh,
Lipton, Twinings, all
nice, nice,
those.
nice. Very lovely.
Yeah.
None. No coffee, no tea. No, thank
Okay,
you.
so you prefer like Milo and Bonvita.
Milo, Bonvita, milk, and all of that. That's how I grew up.
Actually, Milo or Bonvita, which one is your pick?
Milo. Tak, pak, pak, pak. Milo.
Okay, okay. Milo or Ovaltine?
Milo. About it, bao.
Okay. There are some people that really love Ovaltine, and it's so weird because
Kudos.
I
Kudos
don't
to
even like
them.
how Ovaltine
Kudos.
tastes.
Long kudos.
Okay,
About
okay,
team.
cool.
Interesting.
Are you a morning or night person?
Morning.
Nice, nice. I respect that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um,
I know you can't relate.
I
Thank you. Thank you.
can't. I can't relate. Phone call or texting?
Text. 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 Text all day,
Same,
every day. Yes, now.
same, 100%.
Mhm.
Um, Netflix or Amazon Prime or Showmax?
Hmm. I'm using Netflix for the longest, so Netflix. And Netflix because they brought across the Spider-Verse Netflix. And they also had Into the Spider-Verse. So I rate them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Same,
Yeah.
same. What's your favorite sport?
I don't play sports. Is it like that I play?
Maybe you play or you watch or you just on. You're not really interested in sports like that.
Does CTR Nitro Fueled apply?
What's that?
Crash Bandicoot Racing. That game. Does that apply?
Ah, I guess it does. I mean, there's some
That's my favorite
violence in it.
sport. There's no
Okay.
violence. Just driving and trying to drive people.
Oh, you don't destroy your opponent's cars.
Oh yes, you do. You'd get you hit some boxes, get some upgrades, and then you can
Yeah,
throw bomb at people. Yeah.
yeah. Violence. You like violence. That's
I
nice.
don't. I don't.
Okay. Marvel or DC? I feel like I know the answer to this one.
How dare you?
So you're a Marvel fan.
Of course.
Okay. Good. Who's your favorite superhero in Marvel?
I've not had time like pick a favorite. I know Spider-Man is everybody's favorite.
Is he everybody's favorite?
I
Well, he's
mean,
my
most people
favorite,
like
sir.
Spider-Man. You see, most people like Spider-Man. Actually, Iron Man. Because that's the person I can think of right now. Iron Man. Or maybe Thor. Maybe the Hulk. Thor because he's funny. Iron Man because he's sassy and he's rich and he's annoying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
I
Hulk
like it.
because he has existential crisis. It's like, am I a man or am I the Hulk? But I don't know. I
Yeah,
can't pick a favorite right now.
that's fine. I mean, Spider-Man also has existential crisis. I'm always begging for the writers to write, at least give us a happy Peter Parker for once. The guy is
Uh,
always
don't.
suffering.
There's just something. You'll be happy for
There's
a
always
bit, and
something
before you
missing.
know it, you take it away.
Yeah, it sucks. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's nice. That's nice. That's nice. Okay. So let's go back to
Oh no.
yeah, yeah. Where's that my final
Okay.
question again? Oh yeah, 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 yeah. This one is very important. What inspires and motivates you to keep going?
In
Final
life,
question.
or as an illustrator.
As an illustrator, yeah, to keep working.
Okay, I think this has to be my favorite question because growing up, I grew up watching Disney, as most of us likely did, and all those Saturday morning cartoons.
Mm,
And in a way, they shaped my childhood. And so I'd say this that what keeps me going is storytelling for the next generation. In the sense that I'd like to be one of those people who make the next Super Striker, the next comic that kids are like, oh, when's the next episode coming out? When is it coming out? That kind of thing. Or who work or like who work in animation for next gen, like cartoons that they can watch. And yeah, so I mean that's something that motivates me.
that is so profound. That is so,
Thank
that is so
you,
profound. I
thank you,
mean,
thank you, thank you.
I think I had a similar dream growing up,
Mm-hmm.
where reading Super Strikers. I also
Mm-hmm.
used to read comics. Well, Spider Man. That's why I like Spider Man so much. I used to read a lot of Spider Man comics.
Yeah.
Batman at some point. Then
Mm-hmm.
I would play video games, and I would be like, man, when I grow up, I want to make video games and
Exactly. Oh,
tell
okay. We are
stories.
past it now, Sha. But I wanted to say that I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
illustrators are also needed in game industry. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah, you can just add it, just add it there. Yeah, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for talking to me today. Let me
No,
just
it's a
see if I
pleasure.
can run through. Yeah, let me see if I can run through some of the things you said. You said aspiring illustrators need to define their why before they enter and put their two legs inside.
So they will know which
Why?
way to go.
Yeah, and they need to pick a niche, like one or two. Like you're currently doing two, which is the vector illustration and the digital arts
Yeah.
illustration. And for people that have gotten past the whole pen and paper stage, if you want to progress to start making digital illustrations, it's really hard to use just your mouse, especially with digital arts. With vector illustration, it's still cool. With digital art, you would need like a display tablet. It could be a non-display tablet, but it has to be like a graphic tablet. And you recommended Huion tablets
Yeah.
or XP Pen, and the kind of companies that need illustrators. You mentioned tech companies, entertainment companies, marketing agencies, digital design agencies, publishing agencies,
Mm-hmm.
and in the end, you added the gaming
Yeah.
companies.
Mm-hmm.
And we also talked about the product development process and how an illustrator can contribute to that. You mentioned creating stylized icons. make your product stand out more, because everybody seems to be using material design icon or feather icons and all these other icons that are open source are just out there. You mentioned empty states and error states and success states. I call all of them, all these different states, I just call them
Mhm.
display states. I don't think that's an official term, but for me, because I'm very into design systems, so I put all of them under the umbrella of display states. So
Okay.
I hope that catches on, by the way. Uh, it's you can help to educate and captivate users, which is very important. Blank screen and text sometimes doesn't get that across, and it helps the brand to be more recognizable. You gave an example about when Chowdeck got to Abeokuta and Ibadan, and how you personalized it and told a story through your illustrations. I thought that was very profound also. And you
Thank
talked
you.
about opportunities. Yeah, you talked about opportunities and challenges. So, making your illustration system consistent and recognizable could be a challenge and could also be seen as an opportunity for you to grow. The speed that you have to churn out your work can also be an opportunity or a challenge depending on how you look at your work life. And sometimes you just have to upgrade while you have a deadline and you're trying to, you know, drop or deliver your illustration work. I think lastly we talked about how to break in, and we mentioned um don't be afraid to join a company and have like a add-on role like graphic design or motion design. I mean, additional knowledge is never bad. So
Yeah.
if your first job is you doing illustration plus graphic design, you should most likely take that opportunity. Then down the line, you can get a company that you will do just illustration. You also talked about how people should propose their illustrations to different companies and make them see the value in it,
Mhm.
and share your work, and network. That's how a lot of people get recognized. So yeah, thank you so much, Liz. This has been amazing. This has been an amazing
Thank you.
conversation.
Thank
We
you
should do
for
this again.
inviting me. I mean, I'd like to.
Yeah. So this podcast is powered by Dula Studio. Dula Studio is essentially a strategic partner for rapid growing companies in need of product guidance and scalable design systems. So check us out at www.dula.studio. If you want to share feedback on this podcast or submit future episode ideas, you can connect with us at Dula underscore studio on all social media platforms. So that's DULA underscore studio. And if you want to say hi to me personally, you can hit me up at Walede on all social media platforms or Walede underscore. Yeah, thank you so much. This episode has come to
Thank
an end.
you.
Yeah, have an amazing day.
And you too.
Yeah, bye. Don't worry, when the podcast blows up, I would make it like a whole video. We'll sit down and record. But yeah, that's like later down in the future. But yeah, we should do this again. Talk about
Yeah, that'd be
something.
really nice.